This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino, and hard to imagine. The last week of February is upon us, but what's even harder to imagine is this past weekend, which we just wrapped up. We had a couple of derbies. We had a couple of rescheduled stakes races. We didn't have a single Grade 1 race in the United States this past weekend, and Seth, I have to tell you, it was a sensational weekend of racing.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly on the 3-year-old scene, the Risen Star and the Fountain of Youth, I don't know whether they answered a whole lot of questions as opposed to raising some more questions, perhaps. But and then the 3-year-old filly side, those were two very interesting races as well. And then you get away from the stakes races, and you had, I was going to say controversial DQ. I don't think it was that controversial.
No,
but
the story is.
Yeah, but one person had the first. The horse that ran across the finish line first on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, being alive for the Rainbow Six over $1 million. For
a brief moment, he had it.
Yeah, eventually DQ'd. But then yesterday, it was just as bad, but with a legitimate middle of the stretch, late in the stretch. The horse that was in the lead was a lone ticket for the Rainbow Six, and a horse came back on him and beat him. So,
well, how about like 2 or 3 days ago, when the lone ticket, the guy, it's one of those Abbott and Costello movie, I think it was Thursday, they're off, you lose. You know, the guy had the lone ticket, he loses all his chance right at the break, so an interesting weekend there. I don't know if you noticed, I know I missed you guys yesterday. I had my final skiing with our son yesterday, but yeah, you and Steve lose on the lead yesterday. You noticed at the fairgrounds, the girls ran faster than the boys, and at Gulfstream Park, the boys ran demonstratively faster than Only For You.
Yeah, and in fact, my partner, Bick, was not impressed with Only For You because of the race time. I still think, given her record, I think she's going to turn out to be okay. But
I just want to say,
with the finishing times, comparatively, the finishing times were...
The knock I have for Only For You is sort of the umbrella knock for me, which is slow, fast, in dirt racing, to me, doesn't bode well when the waters get deep. And I said this the other day, and also usually those horses are short prices. Now, I know that when you look at the pace for the Devona Dale, it looks, I'll call it legitimate, but your eye, it didn't pass the eye test for a pace guy like me. She was walking on the front end, and of course she had Castellano on the saddle, who it's still hard to imagine. All things considered on Saturday, how the heck could he possibly have lost the Fountain of Youth? Yeah, he had 6 in the back pocket already. I was saying with Jeff Carl on Friday, these last 4 weeks, and I know the young man is coming off the Eclipse Award, but these last 4 weeks, this guy has been performing his athletic contest at a level that very few athletes ever see. And then on Saturday, bingo, bango, as you like to say, 6 in a row. I was also telling Jeff, I don't know if you watched Hawthorne on opening day, and he's kept it going. Timothy Thornton on opening day at Hawthorne, Friday, 8 mounts, 5 wins, 3 seconds. Only 2 favorites were on the board. He's kept the momentum. I think he's already won the jockey side. I think he's at 9 or 10 in 3 days already locked up. But Friday, Saturday, the whole card, Seth, I came in here Saturday, and I said that, considering the Fountain of Youth is not the biggest day at Gulfstream Park, for betting horses, what they gave us Saturday afternoon was as good as it gets until the Breeders' Cup, in my opinion.
Yeah, you had Normandy Invasion on the comeback, and I said,
how good?
We don't know what was behind him,
Doesn't
but
matter.
He did it the right way, and now he's an interesting player in the handicap division this year.
If I could have gotten one more furlong out of him, I might have had the greatest public handicapper Triple Crown ever, because I loved him. And I'll tell you what, I'm not down there. I'll be talking to Chap Brown. I don't usually talk about this angle because I don't know anything about it. I always say I have to look under the hood to see if it's a filly. He looked like a different racehorse size-wise. When I saw him come out, I was like, this is one of the few times in my life when I can say I believe that I know that the time off in the maturation, because he was a smallish type of horse, and he looked robust. And I obviously picked against him. I knew he'd be a short price. Heck, he was 1-5 for most of the betting. But I'll tell you one thing. He was, because Seth brings up a good point. One of the first questions you want to always ask yourself is what behind him. But I kind of set that aside because when you go 133 and change and you crush the field, that was about you. I mean, he was magnificent in the return to the racing. You know, remember, folks, two things. A, he was eligible for non-winners of one other than, and that was his first start since the Derby. My rule of thumb betting-wise is they never come back. I mean, I didn't look up at the board and go, oh, darn, 240. But from a sports standpoint, it was miraculous. That I have to tell you, folks, as a guy who loved him going to the Kentucky Derby and thought at the 8th pole I was still home, he was never as good as he was on Saturday. That was his best performance.
Yeah, it seems like he's adding his name now to it, what's turning out to be a nice handicap division.
Here's
we'll
hoping.
take charge.
Now, I have a question for you, because you set this Equidaily.com, has the pulse on the thing. Saturday afternoon, I think it's great that Fox Sports 1 gave us the Don handicap. We all know that the sexy division in horse racing is 3-year-old colts. They could have, in an hour broadcast, given us 4 races, 2 3-year-old filly races, and obviously the 2-year-old colts. That seems to me to have been, I mean, I'm not a guy who watches the Kentucky Derby for 14 weeks till it gets here, but that seemed to me to be the spot for Fox Sports 1, not the Don handicap. I might love the Don, but
they said, and when I had Jason Wilson on with me on Racing Across America from the Jockey Club, they said this came together, and they just took the races that kind of fell into the schedule this year, the ones that were the kind of the easy pickings they could put together. They're planning to up the schedule significantly next year, and then even more significantly the year after that. So these races will.
I know you have to be respectful for the guests. Doesn't that sound pretty soft?
No, because I think there is a lot of moving parts to get these races on the national television.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. More than you would think.
Well, they're going to run the races. I mean, they move them on the card wherever they want. It's like, just run the races on Saturday. Run it here. I need 90 minutes. You got to run these 2. You got to run your 2. Thank you very much. We move on.
But like you see, a lot of them have been moved to Sunday, so the Saturday thing is
right. But this,
bingo. There's things over on the network side, and there's things
Sunday.
on the.
Why? Because Fox had the Daytona 500 on Sunday. They would not have wanted to run it on Sunday.
Which may have just canceled the whole thing altogether. And again, there's moving parts fitting into the network schedule, getting the okays from racing and whatnot. So that, but again, a couple of years out, there will be much more. Yeah, we didn't talk also on the undercard Constitution.
No.
And I thought tonalist. I still think he's going to be very nice. He was up against it a little bit.
Matterhorn was awful
with the stretch run. It was tough to make up ground in the stretch. So tonalist, I thought he was okay. And speaking of the stretch, top billing, I thought
tremendous.
Yeah, that was fine.
Yeah.
And hats off to the folks at Starlight who looked at the track buys and said, yeah, we're going over to Fairgrounds.
And gets the money with Mike Smith.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see now where some of these horses coming out of the Fountain of Youth decide to go next time, particularly a horse like Top Billing. Will they stick there, or will he say, oh, I'm going someplace a little more conducive to my horse?
I put Top Billing for third for a couple of reasons. One is, as I said about his allowance victory, you don't win with that running style at Gulfstream Park. And he drew the tough outside post position. And he was going to be an awful price. And I tell you, folks, I love Top Billing, and he could. I don't think he could have done any better than he did, all things considered. The racetrack, his post position draw. So third, now he doesn't lock up the points, so he's got to move forward. But the winners on Saturday, everybody is writing that I read, and I don't read very many of them. That 50, they're home. And if you won this past weekend, Intense Holiday for Starlight has his spot. Obviously, Wildcat Hare has his spot in the Kentucky Derby if they want it. But we move forward. I just thought it was a super great weekend. All the stakes action, but for everyday bettors, I ran Ortiz in New York over the weekend, like shooting fish in a barrel for him, just a sensation. Also, one quick note. On Saturday at Santa Anita, I just can't believe this, Seth. Maybe it was Friday. I apologize. 5 favorites won. The 3 favorites that didn't win ran second, and the second choice won those 3 races. So it wasn't a lot of deep prices at Santa. And as I said, the apprentice that I've been talking about, other than Taylor Rice in New York, Drayden Van Dyke just keeps it moving out at Santa Anita. In case you missed it, it's been going off since this meet started. You ready to get underway? You have Turk Paradise?
I am. I'm ready to go.
I listened to I was dialed into the Turf Paradise Derby, as so was your friend, Mr. Chamberlain. You could hear a extra energy in his voice for that. Skylar Whiteshield getting the victory.
A couple of 3-year-old races out. There was the Mind That
Bird at Sunland.
And I don't know whether we're really going to be seeing too much come out of those races.
No way. And I couldn't even think of, I didn't do a lot of searching. What was the old name of the Mind That Bird? Because that was like the 14th running. I couldn't think of what the, because it must be the prep for the Sunland Derby. But I couldn't think of what its name was because it was the 14th running. We turn our attention to Turf Paradise and we kick it off with the Invitational Stakes, whatever that is, but they're dashing 350 yards in the opener.
I have it 4, 2, 3, and 6, and I am not a quarter horse expert, but certainly Rusty Wave off of the last couple of starts, both at this 350-yard distance, a first and a second place finish. Now, the second place finish last time was behind the horse I have in second place. So, I maybe one of those where I'm getting a little too clever, but I just think looking at the form over the last couple, Rusty Wave may have the edge because Rusty Wave, I think, is typically a little more forwardly placed than Surf Dog. Surf Dog tends to maybe sit back and make a late run. At 350, I'm a little more enamored with the horse that is going to be closer to the lead to hold on. So I'll put Rusty Wave on top on the pace scenario. Surf Dog, again, having beaten my top pick last time, I have to have that one right in there. Kashi Sheik in the third spot. This one had finished third behind my 2 top picks over the last couple of starts and pretty close up thirds. This one has a lot of speed also, so should be up in the mix. Should be a fun, competitive little race. Because again, as I say, I'm not much of a quarter horse expert, but these 3 look pretty logical in here. 4, 2, 3, and 6.
Second half of the early daily double out of Turf Paradise. 3-year-old fillies, maiden claimers in for 12,500, dashing 5.5.
4, 6, 1, and 2. The number 4 is Honor Spirit. We're going to go with first-time starter here. There was maybe a little nature and nurture working, excuse me, on the breeding. And we have a horse, you look down at the workout lines, this is a horse that had been working out at Santa Anita. So there may be some venue class relief without this horse having run yet, because obviously they've chosen to come make the debut down here at Turf Paradise rather than out in Southern California. So not only Turf Paradise, they're going in for a maiden claiming tag. And again, I think there's a little breeding interest here. So the fact that this horse was out at Southern California, comes over to Turf Paradise, a little bit of breeding, trainer that can get him ready first time out of the box. We'll use the first-time starter, Honor Spirit, on top. Second spot, that's the way we roll. This horse moved to Turf Paradise from Northern California last time. Ran an okay third. That was at a 20 tag, comes for 12.5 today. I just think this horse is going to be very, very well spotted. And of those that have run, this is the logical contender and probably the one to beat. I'm taking a little bit of a shot with the first-time starter, but the one that's going to take the action, and as I say, should be the one to beat, will be that's the way we roll. Third spot, the number 2, Hot Little Thang. And what can you say? This is a horse, 8 career starts, 6 second-place finishes. So will this horse be a bridesmaid again today? I'm going against that just a little bit, but certainly if my first-time starter doesn't fire, this is the logical second-place finisher. So in the second race today, 4, 6, 2, and 1.
On to the third race this afternoon, and a condition or classification that we have seen often at Turf Paradise. This is their starter stakes, going 6.5.
2, 6, 3, and 7. The number 2 is Stonewall Riot. What can you say? This horse comes in off a 4-race win streak, so just kind of a best until beaten scenario. Horse is in some very good form. Class-wise, probably moving up off of these 3,000 starters in the last 2, but those are salty little events, and this horse did it the right way. And in a way that says even this step up should be competitive with this bunch. So just in some good form, Stonewall Riot on top. Borealis Way, the number 6 horse. I'm just wondering if this one might have a class edge on this bunch. Now, does step out of some turf races, cuts back after going longer on turf, cuts back to a 1-turn 6.5, so I like that as well. Turf to dirt, the cutback, and again, I'm thinking this one probably getting some class relief. In these starters, you're looking at horses that are have been racing maybe better and significantly better than the starter price, but sneak in somewhere down the past performances, maybe even off the page, sneak in by that condition. And again, I think Borealis Way may be there, maybe one that just has a class edge on this particular bunch. Third spot, the number 3, Bubba Fizz. I'd like this horse a little bit more if it hadn't moved out of the Diodoro barn. This horse was racing for Robertino Diodoro, the top trainer out there, and was in some pretty good form over the past few, including a win last time. Claimed off of that race. Comes back a little over a month later for the new trainer. So we move from 23% Diodoro to the 5% trainer today. Will this horse off the claim hold that Diodoro form? That's kind of what I'm hoping, because again, I think the last few races would be competitive with this bunch, but it is a little bit of a question mark off the claim. Third race today, 2, 6, 3, and 7.
Fourth race on the card, we are 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Claimers in for 3,000 capital B, so it's non-winners of 4 races in a lifetime or non-winners of a race in the last 3 months, dashing 5.
2, 7, 6, and 5, the number 2. Silver Gun Girl, just been, excuse me, solid since arriving at Turf Paradise. Had been out in Southern California, came to Turf Paradise late in 2013, in December, in fact, and now 5 exacta finishes in 5 starts since arriving at Turf Paradise. So again, little horse for a course, absolutely a fit in with this class condition. So I think Silver Gun Girl is logical. Second spot, the number 7, What a Score. Last couple not too much, but showed some good speed. Cuts back in trip today, so that's going to be beneficial, and gets some significant class relief, which I think could provide a little bit of a rebound today. So What a Score to me on the class relief and the cutback, very interesting. And the number 6, Ann's 7 Cats, tossed in a dud last time, but now comes back off a 2-month layoff for a high percentage trainer, and this one looks logical for a rebound as well. So in here, I'm going to call a little 3-horse exacta box. Looking at the morning line, I'm not quite sure those morning lines will hold up, but take a double look as they get closer to post time. Look at the probable pace. I'll dip in 3 horses deep with an exacta box, 2, 7, 6, and 5.
On to the 5th race this afternoon. We have 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Claimers in for 3,000 also, but these are non-winners of 2 races in the last 6 months, racing 6.5.
2, 3, 7, and 1. The number 2 is Anadu. Just a horse that's in some pretty good form right now. Numbers-wise, maybe just has a little touch of an edge on most of these in here. So again, on the form, on the numbers, I think Anadu is kind of logical. Second spot, the number 3, Barstow. Another horse that's in some pretty good form, going well, going back, 5, 6 starts, and in fact, the last couple even more impressive with a nice win 2 back and a pretty good second place finish last time, moving up to this N2 calendar condition. So got some education at the condition last time and in good form. Barstow also in the mix. And then one more, Palo, the number 7 horse. This one's interesting to me on the cutback. Has been showing some nice early speed and has been holding on late. Won last time, 3rd and a 2nd just before that after showing the early speed. But today gets the cutback in distance. So I think that nice early speed on the cutback off of the last few races. One more Palo could be very interesting in here. I'm going to do a 4-horse exacta box in here, and just because I'm a little dicey on the situation, but again, look at the probables. It may only make sense to go 3 deep. So I'm going to call 4, but it might only make sense to go 3 deep. Take a second look and see what how the odds shake out. Because again, morning line, it makes sense if that holds, but I can see these floating down a little bit. But I'll call a 4-horse box, 2, 3, 7, and 1.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Turf Paradise.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and Easy Bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I'm Anthony Mormino, taking a look at Turf Paradise as we work our way into the final week of February. Now, remember, folks, my math is right, Seth. Daylight savings time is 13 days away, so we have that to look
Gulfstream
forward to.
pops their new post time when they come back.
105, yeah, I saw that. 3-year-olds, maiden optional, claiming in for 30, racing 6 in the 6th.
I have a 3, 5, the 2 entry and the 1 entry. The number 3 is Rapid by Tappet, who very proficient sire, no question about that.
I think he's up to, just one quick, I think he's up to 150,000 now, which I have to think in the United States is the high watermark on the stallion scale. That's pretty.
Yeah.
And after this weekend,
yeah, I was about
it's going to go up.
Deservedly so, it seems like. But a Tappet first-time starter out of Turf Paradise. The dam produced a sibling called Wee Einstein, 7th in the career debut, then 4th, and then 1. I've said it before. Horses that can win in their first 3 starts, I consider that precocious. But this is another one, as one earlier in the program, that was training out in Southern California, comes over here to Turf Paradise to make the debut. This one goes out for Mike Chambers, however, as opposed to the runner a little earlier. This is a nice high percentage trainer out here at Turf Paradise. So just a couple of things, nature and nurture, that made it a little bit interesting. Rapid on top for me. Second spot, the number 5, Genuine Cowboy. First 3 career starts, they were all number-wise as compared to this field okay. If you look at the start, 2 starts back, a nice finishing position as well. Again, I think compared to this field, this horse has the numbers to be absolutely logical. Last time out was on the turf. Probably seems to like the dirt a little bit better, adds the blinkers. But what jumped off the page? That 57-4 workout back on February 13th. I think that says Genuine Cowboy will be legitimate today. And then I used the 2 entry in the 3rd spot, the number 2 unintended results. First start of the career, wasn't much to write home about, and that's probably not the half of the entry I'm not excited about, although it's not going to shock me to see this one improve second time out. But Tanner's my muscle. The 2B is a little bit more appealing to me off of those workout lines, which really, really look very impressive. This is one that wouldn't shock me to be the winner first time out of the box. I have it down in the mix, but those workouts for the 2B, very, very interesting. 6th race today, 3, 5, the 2 entry, and the 1 entry.
And a quick on to the 7th race. I noticed that Hawthorne also runs these 3-year-olds and up, and Seth has mentioned it before, along with other people, that there should be a designation, like when the 3-year-olds and up and no elders. And finally, through a little trial and error, I figured out on Excel a way to now represent when A, no 3-year-olds run in it, or B, when no elders run in it. Because, for example, the 7th race is for 3-year-olds and up on the turf, fillies and mares going a mile in for 62.50. Not only are there no 3-year-olds, heck, there's only one 4-year-old in the race, so this is older horses.
5, 2, 7, and 4. The number 5 is Bilbao. I'm assuming that's how we're pronouncing it, but I'll go with Michael Chamberlain when I hear that a little bit later. Again, it's Robertino Diodoro. Why not right back in a similar race for a top trainer? Won essentially a very similar event last time. I've said it before. When they do it in similar conditions, distances, and whatnot, I'm happy to jump on board second time, right back, and particularly when it's for a guy like Diodoro. Second spot, Coconino, the number 2 horse, running well number-wise, at least versus this particular bunch. I think these mid to high 60s are certainly going to be enough. The buyer figures I'm speaking of are certainly going to be enough to fit in and amongst this bunch in the 7th race today. And then Majikat, the number 7 horse. I'm going to draw a line through the last race, a non-starter. So obviously there were some problems at the beginning of the race, and this horse just never got in the hunt. But prior to that, was running well enough to be competitive in this bunch. So just draw a line through that last one. Declared a non-starter. Makes perfect sense to not consider that. The races just before, though, were certainly competitive as compared to this bunch. In the 7th, then, 5, 2, 7, and 4.
In the 8th and final this afternoon at Turf Paradise, we have Distaffers in for a maiden claiming tag of 5,000, racing 6.5.
6, 5, 3, and 9. I'm going to take a little shot with Mini Candy in here. Ships in from Southern California. I like Candy rides as being precocious runners. Certainly this horse was not precocious out in Southern California. He was well beaten in 3 starts for John Sadler. Moves over and goes into the Diodoro barn here at Turf Paradise. I think with the venue and price class relief, this horse, however, could get a wake-up call. Again, Candy ride on top. On the bottom, the dam produced a sibling called Chandler's Angel. That horse was 8th in its lone career start. Not much to hang our hat on there, but another sibling called Candy Trophy, 9th, then 6th, then 1. So it took 3 starts, but finally got it done. This horse has had 3 starts so far. This will be the 4th. But again, with the class relief, Mini Candy gets the top selection. A-Train Alex, the number 5 horse, just has been running well over the past couple of starts. Should run well again today. Those past couple of starts were since moving to this 5,000 level. So has found a home condition-wise. And then the number 3, Narc. First couple of starts were on the synthetic up at Golden Gate. Came down here to Turf Paradise. Ran an okay 3rd. Well beaten, but there was a runaway winner that day. Ran 3rd last time behind A-Train Alex. So adds the blinkers today. I think Narc will be a competitor in here. In the 8th, 6, 5, 3, and 9.
And that wraps up our look at Turf Paradise. We'll take a quick break. It's Monday. We're at the Big A up next.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Monday morning. Seth Merrill and Anthony Mormino. We will shift our attention now to Aqueduct for this afternoon. Their opener is a starter allowance at the $40,000 level. These are 3-year-olds, and they are going 1.70 miles.
You know, and I you know, just even if I wasn't in on the Handicappers Report on Monday, I think this is just such a great idea. New York running on Mondays. 5-3-2 in the opener, and number 5 is Stage Name, the former connections in the career debut of Big Brown. When Pat Reynolds trained for Paul Pompa, and they sent Big Brown out for the career debut on the turf. They send out this runner with Cornelio Velasquez in the saddle, and Cornelio Velasquez going very well. But this runner in the second career start dropped in for a $35,000 tag, won by a pole, then came back in a starter allowance and finished third, making the inner dirt track debut. 4-1 on the morning line. Our top pick in the opener, number 5, Stage Name. For second, number 2, King Congrats. Veteran in the group, well, co-veteran, the 5th career, going out for the 6th start this afternoon. Pat Quick sends out this runner looking for the Patrick exacta for yours truly. They add blinkers this afternoon after winning very impressively at 3-2, breaking the maiden when dropping in for a tag for the first time, going 1.70 miles on the inner dirt track. We try and make it 2 in a row this afternoon, and I find that morning line price extremely attractive. Now, this is not the case that I like to quote where you break the maiden, now you go into these 2 L's and you can be more competitive. But if you look at this race, I know it's a starter allowance, but they're claiming no multiple winners in here. For third, number 2, Sweet Lover. Tom Morley sends out this runner after winning by 10, breaking the maiden in the 3rd try, all of them for a tag, the last one in for 16, with the white hot Irad Ortiz in the saddle. 5-3-2 in the opener.
Second race today, a maiden claimer, 12-5 tags. These are 4-year-olds and up, going 5.5.
And one quick note, Seth, you had a question for me. I had it backwards. Seth had a question about the Rainbow Pick Sixes. Our director said there should be a suicide watch for some of these guys that have gotten to the painful end, but 60% of the new Pick Six pool is paid out daily to the players correctly picking 6. So the 40 is the part that carries over until somebody picks 6 by themselves. I thought 40% was paid out, but apparently 60% is paid out for those who hit the pick 6 but don't get the jackpot. You share 60% of the pool, so I'll go with that over there. But 3-2-7 as we dash 5.5 in the second, and number 3 is Ronto's Code. Love the running style in here. Don't have a victory to show for it in 10 career starts, but has hit the board in half of them and has been extremely competitive. This will be the 2nd start on the inner after being down at Gulfstream Park. Comes to New York, raced very well to finish 3rd as the beaten favorite. For second, 6-5 in your heart, number 2, Kissed and Missed. Rudy Rodriguez sends out this runner, and what is it? It's Larry, is it Mejias? Is how I believe it's pronounced. The J is often silent, but Larry Mejias, who was, had a few mounts, scored the other day, has the mount back on this runner where he was runner-up at 5-1 in the 2nd start on the inner dirt track, and first off the 12-5 claim for the powerful Rudy Rodriguez barn. Clearly the horse to beat in here at a short price. We'll take our chances, as I like to say from time. And for third, the outside horse, number 7. Let's face it, Johnny, a first-time starter going out for Bruce Levine, the offspring of Tail of the Cat. Romilio Rodriguez has to mount 3-2-7 in the second.
Third race this afternoon is a $20,000 claimer. Fillies and Mares, 4-year-olds and up. Again, they'll go a quick 5.5.
1-3-6. My selections in here, and number 1 is Talent and Passion. John Toscano's runner breaks from the rail, but I've talked about this, really going back to last summer at Saratoga. Down inside, going 5 or 5.5 doesn't worry me so much. I will even go as far as to say I think it's a strong advantage. Well, we need for Trevor McCarthy, who has done very well in his trips to New York, to get that last little extra goodness for talent and passion to get us home on a losing streak here after scoring at Belmont Park in the autumn. For second, number 3, Starship Elusive. First off the claim for David Jacobson, so you know we're swimming uphill trying to beat this horse. This horse won the career debut on the Inter. That was going a mile and a 70. Taylor Rice, who right now is the Pro Tem leader in the clubhouse for the Eclipse Award for the nation's outstanding apprentice, with Mr. Van Dyke at Santa Anita second, has the mount. And you saw when Taylor Rice came to New York, there was a day where I liked everything she did, except I didn't think she was quite dialed into the fact that the rail was not so good, and she took her horse over to the rail and kept the horse going late. But as I said before, it's when jockeys start to get the phone call from other operations, especially an operation as sharp as David Jacobson. Boy, for them, you know, is it the 5-pound allowance? I don't know, but you get to ride sharp horses when you're riding for David Jacobson in New York for claimers 20,000. For third, number 6, Title Slam. I may regret at the end of the day not putting this 20-to-1 shot higher than third in here, but I think is a very, very good fit in here. 1, 3, 6.
For today, conditional claimer 16 tags, non-winners of 3 lifetime is the condition. Fillies and mares 4-year-olds and up, they'll go 1 mile.
215, ladies and gentlemen, as we go the 2-turn mile distance. Number 2 is New York Conspiracy, going out this offspring of Patriot Act. 2 races back at this level for a few shekels fewer. Raced very well, getting beat half a length for all the money, and then the New York bred jumped into allowance entry level condition, going the mile, and raced moderately well that afternoon. So we have a 75-to-1 race, very strong, extremely better than odds race, and then at 25-to-1, so-so. But this horse, 0 for 7 lifetime on the Inter, draws down inside, going a mile. We're trying to cycle into a nice $22 mutual with our top pick, number 2, New York Conspiracy. For a second, right next door in the starting gate, number 1, Get Gorgeous. Billy Badgett sends out this runner after a good effort on January 19th, going a mile and a 16th. I know we finished off the board. Previous to that, a good second place finish behind a runaway winner. This horse is in very good form right now. Draws down inside, comes back at the level of the last 2 races for a few dollars more, which is understandable considering the solid efforts. For third, number 5, Carlos Martin sends out this runner with Jose Ortiz in the saddle. Not much most recently in an effort that was in the mud, in the fog, so I'm going to throw that out. A couple of sharp efforts on the inner dirt track going middle distance, so maybe today we can get back to those good efforts on a clear, fast racetrack and legitimately throw out the mud effort. 2-1-5 in the 4th.
Race number 5, it is an optional claiming event, claiming tag $75,000. The condition, non-winners of 1 other than. These are 3-year-old fillies. They'll go 3/4 of a mile.
And in here you have a couple horses for the claim, the majority 4 out of the 6. The allowance horses are the 2 and the 3, and that's where I landed on my top pick. 3-6-4, ladies and gentlemen. Go West Marie gets my top pick, making the 5th career start, scored the victory for David Donk 2 races back, off of a little freshening, making the inner dirt track debut, listed as muddy that afternoon, won by a pole under Irad Ortiz at better than 11-to-1, came back versus winners in the dearly precious stakes, and, you know, that was, you know, a good effort. I mean, Glacier was won by better than 10, shipping in very impressively, but that was a good start versus winners, and we see 5-2 on the morning line. If this horse bounces a little bit forward, we got a little regression in the Dearly Precious, which didn't shock me. But if we get the bounce forward, we'll be okay with Irad Ortiz back in the saddle. For a second, the outside horse, number 6, Foxbow, going out first off the claim for $25,000. Dominic Galuccio claimed this horse from David Jacobson. This horse has won 2 out of 3 most recently, including an impressive 5-length victor on the January 16th most recent effort. Rosario Montañez, he gets the saddle. A jockey that I like very much. I like some of the stuff he's been doing in the wintertime, including that day I talked about. I thought he was getting herded by a journeyman jock, local, and I just think he wasn't going to take it. I liked his reaction. I thought it was professional and the right retort. For third, number 4, Alpaca Fina going out for David Jacobson, coming out of back-to-back open stakes races, including a third-place finish most recently in the Ruthas. Cornelio Velasquez, the regular jock, he stays back aboard, in for the $75,000 tag. 3-6-4 in this afternoon's 5th from the Big A.
All right, that'll bring us to our last break for the hour. Stay tuned. When we come back, we will complete our look at Aqueduct for this afternoon.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. We'll continue now with race number 6 at Aqueduct, a state-bred allowance. Non-winners are one other than 4-year-olds and up, going 5.5.
And by the way, a rough weekend for you and your alma maters in their big sports. 0-1-1, and for those who don't remember, Seth was at RPI, but he talks about his Syracuse people, 0-2.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention to RPI.
Well, Friday night they lost to St. Lawrence and then tied Clarkson on Saturday. But what's up with your Orange? We're gonna look at these as good losses.
Well, the call at the end, I think, was a bad call.
Oh, right. How about just the BC game at home? You lose to BC at home.
Yeah, and there's no question. But then you think they're going to come back and get toasted. Given that BC loss, you're going to get toasted at Duke, and it was a pretty good run.
And remember, the East Regional, Madison Square Garden, for the first time in my lifetime, 75th anniversary. 8-1-5, ladies and gentlemen. We continue with the Big A on this Monday morning. Jeremiah Engelhardt takes over the training. David Donk had this horse through 2012. Only one start since in a year, since February 10th. That was on May 26th. Went to the sidelines. Now, Jeremiah Engelhardt is a very good young trainer. I mean, Breeders' Cup even set it aside. Seen his work going very well, and 26% with first with the trainer. This horse showed us some talent before going to the sidelines. I think it's fair to say something went wrong back in May on the turf. We draw the outside this afternoon with Jose Ortiz in the saddle. We'll take the 6 on top. For second, number 5, Perfect Disco, who the price surprises me. And this is the example that I don't find as often as I like, and I may have made a mistake here. And I've said it before, especially the New York bred program, where you would have horses take about 7 or 8 races to get through. Heck, 13, 14, doesn't matter. And then they break through the maiden and take on winners. Invariably, they would get lost in the shuffle of the morning line. And that's, I think, what happened with Perfect Disco, because throw out the debut race, the second career start was a terrific bounce back. You start your debut on the far right-hand side of the starting gate. Your second career start, you draw the rail. You make it a winning one with Rosario Montañez in the saddle going 5.5. And I am a big fan of the stallion Disco Rico, even though he beat Trippy up here for me but didn't win the day running second. 12-1 in here, taking on Winners for the first time. I may have underrated this horse in the second spot on 12-1 in the morning line. For third, number 1, we'll take Between the Lines. Joe Lustrito's runner, second time versus Winners after winning on New Year's Day. 8-1-5, excuse me, in the third.
Seventh race this afternoon at Aqueduct. It's a starter allowance at the $50,000 level. These are 4-year-olds and up. They will go 1 mile.
4-1-8, ladies and gentlemen. Fiona's Hero gets my top pick for Michelle Nevin, who has had a very, very nice run. Now, we're very far removed from Michelle Nevin getting some of the Richard Dutchow Jr. horses. So this is all her work at nearly 30% in the operation. And on the inner dirt track, most recently, a good second-place finish. The last 3 efforts, very strong. A victory, 2 seconds. Makes the first start since January 2nd. Jose Ortiz has been the regular jock of late. He gets the call in here. For second, number 1, that'll be Ruthless Alley, an offspring of Flower Alley. A strong third-place effort, the best career to date on the inner dirt track at 14 to run. Now, Angel Arroyo gets the call from an inside post position, racing a mile, a strong advantage. For third, number 8, Smarvelous. Chad Brown sends out this runner, and you advance at your own peril, picking against Chad Brown and Abel Castellano riding the horse in New York. He rode this horse to a second-place finish and a third-place finish when Chad Brown got this horse from the Kieran McLaughlin barn. 4-1 looks very good now. I'm suspicious that we'll be near that neighborhood when the betting is concluded. 4-1-8.
8th race this afternoon is a state-bred allowance event. The allowance condition non-winners are one other than fillies and mayors, 4-year-olds and up, going 1 mile and 70.
5-8-7, my selection in this nice 8th race this afternoon. Once a week. Going out for Mike Hushin, this runner broke the maiden in the third career start, won by 2. Now takes on Winners this afternoon with Jose Ortiz in the saddle, an offspring of Investor, whose first 3 career races were all at 6 panels. For second, number 8, Prize Taker. Charlton Baker's runner, I thought, had a sneaky good effort most recently when finishing third. Now, this was the beaten favorite role at 8-5, and I've talked more recently than previously how much, as much as I like to snicker when odds-on horses lose and such, or as I like to say when I see horses getting in trouble, run worse. It's about having an opportunity the next time. And I think Prize Taker probably turned off many bettors when losing at 8-5, but I thought that was a nice effort regardless of the price. For third, number 7, Jimmy Island sends out Uman Candy, part owner, trainer. This horse is 8-5 on the board, and heck, it has already lost at 4-5, 8-5 of late. What I couldn't get about this horse, I know we're on the inner, I know the track can be very goofy, but 51-3. The second half of the 1 mile effort, most recent when he got beat at 4-5. That to me is ordinary this time of year. That is not encouraging. That is pedestrian almost. And I just don't see where this horse is 8-5 in this field, and I am against to that degree. So 5-8-7 in the 8th.
The finale today, I have to turn many pages in my book to get there.
Go ahead.
The Aqueduct Night today is a state-bred maiden special weight event. These are 3-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs.
I was telling Seth yesterday, I knew I wanted to follow a bunch of tracks, so I gave the new sizing edition of the Daily Racing Form a shot. I was telling him, when I was watching Hawthorne, and a couple of, tracks that maybe aren't at the highest level, they go right along. But when you got to Gulfstream Park of the Big A, it was like the beginning, 46 pages later, the end. I'm like, well, obviously you know the recipe. You can put a track with races 1 through 10 or 1 through 9, but the big boys got set wide apart. And I've said it before, they do it because that's what they want to do, because we got a man to the moon. We could put all 10 races from Gulfstream right next to each other. But in the finale from New York, 3-6-2 for me, and young Mr. Ortiz and I hopefully will have a big day today. Lavender Road, the 3 is my top pick. Scheduled to make the second career start. First one since debuting at Saratoga on July 31st. The beaten 3-2 favorite, where this horse was up on the pace and then just collapsed. Beat one horse, beaten nearly 16 lengths. This an offspring of First Defense, who, even though he's from the Unbridled Song line, which I don't fancy very much, as brilliant as it's been received, First Defense has been a very, very nice stallion. Still flies under the radar screen. Now, the question I have when you see a race like this, in the old days, and I'm talking about in the 80s, with a juvenile, you might think that this was a buck shins. Did they run the horse? They buck the shins, go to the sideline, you come back. Really, the buck shins is the most least effect when a horse has an injury coming back, or was it just the pace and something went wrong that day? But I like this horse coming back at 8-1. I think showing the early speed in the debut shows ability. I think the final running position and beaten lengths is a function of what went wrong. Now, if you remember that race that day, that was the race that Tom Morley popped onto my radar screen because his Canal 6 was a sneaky good second that afternoon at a gigantic price. So Lavender Road to me at 8-1 making the second start. I'm betting on the first 2/3 of the 5.5 furlong debut race at Saratoga, and the 8-1 helps a little bit. For a second, another 8-1 shot, making the second career start. Number 6, Official. Hugh McMahon, a Mid-Atlantic staple down there. He's a very, very good trainer. I'll be paying more attention to him probably when Pimlico opens up in a couple of weeks. This is an offspring of Officer, making the second career start after debuting on the Inner on January 18th in a very ambivalent effort. Went back down to Maryland, worked out a mile, and then most recently, a bullet, 47-4 over at the Bowie Training Center. 4/3 the rail, number 2, Prairie Stone. Bruce Brown sends out this runner off of a good third-place debut behind a runaway winner. Mike Luzzy gets the call back. 3-6-2 in the Monday afternoon finale at the Big A.
All right, is it me?
Well, usually you just say that wraps up our look at
that. Does wrap up our look at. No, usually you jump right in.
Well, I was gonna. Yeah, we should get better timing. We'll go to the part. We have a minute here. Who do you have in Racing Across America after this big weekend?
Mike Penna will jump in. He was down. Horse Racing Radio Network was live from Gulfstream Park, so we'll talk a little bit about the racing down there, and then a little later on Andy Serling, because of course there is New York racing this afternoon.
Absolutely.
So we'll get some thoughts from him not only on New York racing, but on the 3-year-old races over the weekend.
Like I said, as good a weekend of racing and as good a betting card that certainly Andy Serling can appreciate. I was listening to his prattle, and they were obviously watching Normandy Invasion. Matter of fact, I don't want to produce a show. If you ask him about Normandy Invasion, I think he'll give you something good that way. This afternoon, Capital Off-Track Betting, as I said, selfishly, the Big A running on Monday, I think it really changes the dynamics of the whole day. Big A gets the schedule underway, followed by Parks, Beulah, Sam Houston, baby, Turf Paradise, Dover Downs, Northfield, Pompano, Yonkers, and Woodbine Harness. If you missed any of set selections from Turf Paradise or mine for the Big A, please go to CapitalOTB.com, click on the Handicappers Report, get all of our selections, and then go to CapitalOTBBet.com, our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Been with us since November 1st. The simplest way to play the game, follow the game, get the information with the race replays, watch the live streaming video, easiest way to bet. And also, it makes you eligible for the many, many contests we run throughout the year at Capital Off-Track Betting.
And we got about a minute left. Do you still have up the Rainbow Six rules you pulled up? Is the 60, it has to be, the math only makes sense. The 60 and 40 is pulled out of what's bet in that day. Okay.
That day.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, the total pool goes if there's one person.
Yes.
Otherwise, they base
day.
it all on what's
Whoever gets
bet in
that day, never
that
gets
makes
the
sense,
carryover.
because it was said there was 8 winning tickets on Saturday paying $36,000 for a 20-cent bet. So that comes up to 200 and something. There was 500 and some in the pool, so that with the takeout, that makes
Now,
sense.
one quick question.
But I just want to make the point. I've said it for the last week or so. Jump into this. It's a fun bet at the 20% base ticket.
20 cent ticket.
They're putting about 500,000 in. So that 60% is a $300,000.
With doubling the base bet, has it grown? Have they seen significant increases?
Geez, that's a good question. It seems like, just anecdotally, but it seems like once it hit about 500,000, it does seem like it moved faster than it has in the past. But again, I haven't seen any real figures on that.
That wraps up the Handicappers Report, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned. Up next, Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.